Hi, I'm Emma. I was filled with excitement as I packed for what I thought would be an amazing family trip with my husband Tom and his family. It was meant to be our first trip together since getting married, and I was excited to join a tradition his family had been doing for years. My relationship with my mother-in-law, Sandra, had always been a bit distant ever since Tom moved in with me, but I hoped this trip would be a chance to finally get closer to her. As I zipped up my suitcase, Tom reassured me, "Don't worry, Emma, everything's taken care of. Mom and Dad always cover the trip expenses for everyone." But, the day before we were set to leave, Sandra asked me to join her in the kitchen for a quick chat. Her tone was casual, but her words were anything but. "Emma, I know you're new to the family, and I just want to clear something up," Sandra said, avoiding eye contact. "You're not really family yet, so you'll need to cover your own expenses for the trip." I felt a cold shock run through me, but Tom said the family expenses were covered. I replied, confused. Sandra waved her hand dismissively. "Well, that's for family. I'm sure you understand. It's only fair since you're still new to this." I tried to keep my cool, though her words stung. "I see. Thanks for letting me know, Sandra." As soon as she left the room, I called Tom, my hands shaking slightly as I held the phone. "Tom, your mom just told me I'm not considered family and have to pay for myself on the trip. Did you know about this?" There was a pause before Tom responded, his voice filled with anger. "What? No, she never mentioned that. That's not right, Emma." We talked it over and decided we couldn't just let this go. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the unfairness of it all. Later that night, as we lay in bed, Sandra's words still weighed heavily on my mind. Tom squeezed my hand and said, "We'll figure this out, Emma, together." Little did Sandra know, we had a plan brewing, a plan that would show her we wouldn't be pushed around or left out. We were ready to take a stand, right in the heart of this family tradition. The next morning at the airport, things were about to take an unexpected turn. As we drove there, the tension in the car was thick. Tom kept glancing at me, his jaw clenched, eyes flicking between the road and me. I could tell he was just as upset as I was, maybe even more. He reached over and squeezed my hand. "We're not letting this slide, Emma. What Mom said isn't okay." I nodded, my stomach in knots. "I know, it feels like she planned this, telling me at the last minute." "Yeah," Tom agreed with a heavy sigh. "The timing is cruel." After a pause, he added, "Listen, I have an idea." I looked at him, my curiosity piqued despite the weight in my chest. "What if we just go somewhere else, just the two of us?" Tom said, his voice cutting through the tension. "We can still go to the airport, but take a different flight." His idea echoed in my mind. At first, I was surprised, but then a feeling of excitement crept in. Was he really suggesting we ditch the family trip and go on our own adventure? "Exactly," Tom said, his eyes lighting up for the first time in days. "Let's book a flight to San Francisco. We've talked about going there forever." San Francisco? I thought about it. It was a bold, spontaneous move. It felt rebellious, but also completely right. It wasn't just about escaping the family vacation. It was about reclaiming our own space as a couple. "Let's do it, Tom. Let's take back our honeymoon phase that she tried to ruin." Tom pulled out his phone and started browsing flights while I drove. We found a flight to San Francisco, leaving at almost the same time as the family's flight to Hawaii. With just a few taps, our secret getaway was booked. "We'll still go to the airport with everyone," Tom planned aloud, like he was solving a puzzle. "We'll check in together, but when it's time to head to the gates, we'll make up an excuse to split off. Maybe we'll say we're grabbing coffee or something." I nodded, the plan coming together in my mind. "And then we just won't show up at their gate. We'll go to our gate instead." "Exactly, and once we're on the plane, I'll text Mom. I'll tell her that since you're not considered family, we decided to do our own thing." It was simple, bold, and empowering. That night, as we packed our bags, the sting of Sandra's words still lingered, but the thrill of our upcoming adventure overpowered it. We were really doing this. The next morning at the airport, the usual pre-flight chaos buzzed around us. Sandra was busy handing out boarding passes, her voice loud as she went over plans for the trip, completely unaware of our secret. The family chatted excitedly about the beaches and activities in Hawaii, while Tom and I exchanged knowing glances. As we walked towards the security line, Tom leaned over and whispered, "Ready for this?" "More than ever," I whispered back, surprised by how strong my voice sounded. We were stepping into a new chapter, one where we weren't just following someone else's rules or expectations. This time, we were writing our own story. The airport was alive with activity, families, travelers, and crowds rushed about, each lost in their own plans. As we rolled our suitcases through the sliding doors of the departure hall, the air was filled with announcements and the excited buzz of people heading off on their adventures. Despite the chaos around us, I felt calm. We were finally doing something for ourselves. My heart raced with a mix of nerves and excitement as we walked through the airport, each step reminding me of the bold choice Tom and I had made. We stayed close to his family, blending in with the usual routines and the lively chatter about their vacation plans. Sandra, fully in vacation mode, was handing out itineraries and barking last-minute instructions, oblivious to the rebellion brewing right under her nose. "Everyone, remember, we're meeting at gate 24, Sandra called out, her voice carrying a note of authority over the noise. We nodded and responded without thinking, playing along as we prepared for our secret plan. The plan was simple, but bold. As we neared the security checkpoint, Tom leaned in and whispered, "Ready for the coffee trick?" I nodded, feeling both tense and excited. "Let's do it." After clearing security, the family headed straight for gate 24, but Tom gently tugged my arm, leading me toward a nearby coffee shop. "We're just grabbing a quick coffee," he called out casually to the group. Sandra barely gave us a glance, too focused on gathering everyone at the gate. Once inside the coffee shop, we waited until the family was out of sight, then made a quick, quiet exit in the opposite direction, heading toward a different part of the terminal. My heart pounded as we looked around to make sure no one from the family could see us. It felt like something out of a spy movie, sneaking through the airport with our own secret plan. When we found our gate, the relief was immediate. The departure screen confirmed our flight to San Francisco, and we finally sat down, feeling a little more at ease. Tom pulled out his phone, hesitating for just a second before typing out the message that would cut us off from the family vacation. "Mom, since Emma isn't considered family yet, we decided it's best to do our own thing this time. We're heading to San Francisco instead and we'll spend the week there. We needed to do what's best for us right now. I hope you understand." He pressed send, and just like that, the message was gone, marking a new chapter. We turned off our phones, choosing to silence whatever responses might come in the moment. The relief was immediate, but there was also an underlying tension, knowing we would have to deal with the fallout later. As we boarded the plane, it felt like stepping into a new world, a space where we could finally breathe, free from the expectations and disappointments that had weighed us down. When the plane took off, it felt like we were leaving behind the weight of the last few days. One chapter of our lives was fading behind us, while a new adventure awaited in the distance. Back with the family, the reaction was explosive. When Tom finally turned his phone back on, it buzzed non-stop with a flood of messages, confusion, outrage, disbelief. Texts from Sandra and other family members filled the screen, each one reacting to our decision. A mix of shock and accusations flooded Tom's phone. Sandra's messages stood out, sharp and filled with blame. "How could you embarrass me like this? This is irresponsible and utterly selfish." Her words stung, but as San Francisco came into view, bathed in the golden hues of the setting sun reflecting off the ocean, the noise of the family's discontent felt distant. We were on our own adventure, one we had chosen together. Despite the turbulence we left behind, ahead of us lay a new path, full of our own choices and dreams. This escape wasn't just from an airport or a family vacation. It was a move toward finding our own moments of freedom. San Francisco welcomed us with its iconic fog and lively streets. We wandered through Fisherman's Wharf, laughing over clam chowder and sourdough bread, snapping photos beneath the majestic Golden Gate Bridge. For the first time in a long while, it felt like we had truly escaped. We were free to explore and enjoy each other's company, without the looming shadow of Sandra's disapproval. For those few days, our spirits soared as high as the city's famous hills. But even as we lost ourselves in the beauty of the city, Tom's phone continued to buzz with reminders of the storm we had left behind. He kept the details to himself, trying to protect me from the worst of the backlash, but I could see the tension in his eyes. Reality awaited us, heavy and unavoidable. When we returned home, it hit us right away. Sandra's car was parked outside, a dark cloud over what we had hoped would be a peaceful return. Tom squeezed my hand, silently bracing for what was to come. We hadn't even put down our luggage when Sandra stormed through the front door, her face twisted with rage and hurt. How could you two be so selfish to just run off like that? She snapped, her voice slicing through the calm we had gathered. Mom, we needed to do what was best for us. We felt excluded and unwelcome, Tom replied, his voice steady but clearly defensive. That's no excuse to humiliate me in front of the entire family. Sandra shot back, her hands trembling with anger. The argument escalated quickly. I tried to step in, hoping to calm things down. Sandra, we didn't mean to upset you, but... Don't you dare butt in, young lady, she interrupted, her eyes blazing with fury. You're the reason my son is turning against me. In a sudden flash of anger, Sandra lunged forward and slapped me. The sting of the slap wasn't just physical, it was the clearest sign of the toxicity we had been trying to escape. Tom immediately stepped between us, his face filled with outrage. That's enough, Mom. You can't just come here and attack Emma like that. The situation spiraled out of control. Sandra continued to hurl accusations, her voice rising with every insult. Tom had no choice but to call the police. By the time the officers arrived, the air was thick with tension and unspoken bitterness. After explaining the situation and showing the red mark on my cheek, we pressed charges. Sandra was taken away, still spewing anger and resentment. When the officers left, the house fell into a heavy silence. Tom and I sat down, the adrenaline slowly fading, leaving behind only exhaustion and a deep sadness. We had escaped for a moment, but reality had followed us home. We were no longer the same people who had nervously hatched a plan in an airport coffee shop. We had grown stronger, united by everything we'd been through and our shared vision for the future. Looking back, I realized that our journey wasn't just about escaping Sandra's toxic influence, it was about embracing our right to create our own family story, one built on love and mutual respect, things that were non-negotiable for us. This wasn't just about leaving the past behind. It was about moving forward into a life we had chosen together, a life where every new day was a testament to our resilience and our commitment to never settle for less than we deserved. As moving day approached, I glanced at the packed boxes around us, a symbol of our readiness for a fresh start. This wasn't the end of our story, it was the beginning of a bold new chapter. A chapter filled with hope, peace, and the promise of building something beautiful, on our own terms. As we closed the door on our old life, we stepped confidently into our future, ready to write our own narrative. And that's the end of our story, everyone. Now, I want to ask you, do you think it's justifiable to cut ties with family members if they continually disrespect your boundaries? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you and you want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these stories. Let's keep the conversation going in the comment section.